Dateline, Orange County. In 1984, three unemployed friends, Joe Bissett, Richard Bredice, and Matt Magiera, were having dinner at Denny's restaurant. When they left the restaurant, they were approached by a scruffy old man with a gray beard, on crutches and one leg. The man stopped them and told them a story of tragedy and triumph. His story, a story which started poor and disabled, but became rich beyond his wildest imagination. Curious, the friends asked how he turned his life around. The man replied, "I'm going to give you a gift. I've lived a full life, but now I'm old, and I'm not going to live much longer. Take my shoe. Always keep it nearby." The man said, "It is the shoe of good hope. Listen to it. Revere it. Never lose it, or a turn of fate will rain your way. This shoe has the secret, the code, if you will, to a long and prosperous future as working musicians in nightclubs." Joe replied, "But we're not musicians. We don't know how to play music. We've never even had a lesson." The old man replied, "Nonetheless, you will be empowered with the means. Be on your way, and may the shoe guide you." The boys figured the old man was crazy, but for some reason, Joe kept the shoe. It wasn't long before the revelations of the old man came true. Before they knew it, they had formed a band. They named it The Code in honor of the old man with the shoe. They were talented. They were good looking. They were funny.
The operation, I'll never come again. Come on.
You suck.
Don't forget it.
They were suave.
Falling down my face. I did that on purpose.
They were popular.
Richard Rice. Joe Bissett.
They were playing in nightclubs, restaurants, private parties, and weddings around the greater Orange County area. Each year, they were booked solid, playing relentlessly gig after gig, week after week, reaping the accolades of being a bona fide cover band. Steady weekly paychecks, adorning fans and waitresses, discounts on bar drinks, free cocaine from local drug dealers. Sometimes, even local celebrities like Dennis Rodman would stop in and have a beer. Life was good for the Code. They were the toast of the town. For 14 years, the shower of good fortune continued. They cherished the shoe and always kept it with them at every single gig. They never forgot how much happiness the old man and his shoe had brought them. One night, a famous record executive was having dinner with his mistress and heard the band playing their dinner set. He was impressed. He approached the band. "You guys are pretty good," he said. "Have you thought about doing your own songs and trying to make it big?" Joe replied, "We haven't, but that sounds like a good idea." The man handed Joe his business card and demanded, "Call me when you get your shit together." The boys were elated. All they needed were some original songs. Matt pointed out, "Guys, we don't know how to write our own songs." Richard, having a pre-med college education and being the brains behind the band, said, "Well, we should commune with the shoe." Sure enough, 3 weeks later, the band was writing their first original songs. They were just getting ready to call back that interested record executive when tragedy struck. One night, after a gig, Richard asked Joe, "Joe, where is the shoe?" Joe hesitated, put his hand to his forehead and said, "I didn't know how to tell you guys this, but last night after the gig I got pretty high, went home with a hottie and took the shoe with me. I really wanted to impress her, so I wore the shoe while having sex. I went home, and when I woke up this morning I realized I had left it there. I panicked, drove back over there. She said she had never seen the shoe, and in fact thought I was barefoot when we did it. I was embarrassed and ashamed." The shoe seemed lost forever. Their fortunes changed immediately. The OC nightclub landscape turned. Live musicians were replaced by canned music and DJs. Their following dwindled, the gigs dried up, and artists like Madonna became famous. The Code didn't even have a synthesizer or a girl singer in the band. They even went to counseling. And worst of all, they hit a dead end in their songwriting. The pressures mounted, and the boys, who had been such close friends for so many years, started arguing with each other and their audiences. Finally, one night, Joe beat up a fan in the bathroom of the studio cafe for asking him to play Brown Eyed Girl one too many times. They tried to go on, but they just couldn't get their shit together. And finally, in 1998, it all ended. The boys decided to go their separate ways. The out-of-work power trio tried for months to get hired as sidemen in other local bands, including Dexter, Private Eye, Cats and Jammers, and others. None would hire them. Without the shoe, they had lost their spark, their inspiration, not only as a band, but as individual musicians. The next decade produced a series of disappointments for the boys. Richard burned his guitar and equipment and joined a nude male revue in Las Vegas. He also spent many years walking the earth to be, quote, one with nature, until finally making an unsuccessful attempt at being a chef. Matt fell into a life of depravity, which included selling his body. He was eventually arrested for indecent exposure at a George Michael's concert. He spent 9 years in jail. In later years, he suffered from alcoholism and depression, making him lonely and bitter. He was often seen at parties he wasn't invited to. Joe tried to capitalize on the remnants of his frontman persona by becoming a Batman impersonator for children's birthday parties. He did this for years until one day he was fired for doing things, quote, the real Batman wouldn't do. Soon after, he was led to a moral awakening by this woman. Ultimately, he became a born-again Mormon preacher. The story of the Code could have ended here, but another twist of fate brought them together again.